Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are, but a very, very warm welcome to the webinar, which is being organized by the Cambridge Trust and UCA, the University of Central Asia. This webinar is about opportunities and scholarships to go to the University of Cambridge, and the scholarships are jointly between UCA and Cambridge Trust. So before we start, let me try and introduce you to my colleagues from Cambridge Trust who are based in Cambridge. We have Sue right up there on the top left-hand side. Sue is the Deputy Director for Cambridge Trust. And next in line is in the middle somewhere is Claire. Claire is the Communications Manager, also at Cambridge Trust. And Tendai, who is on the top right there in red, waving away, is the Partnership Manager at Cambridge Trust. Then I have my colleague Nujan from the International Office at UCA. And then we have Sultan, who's the technical person, making sure everything is happening. And the big boss of IT, Ullenbeck there, making sure it all runs very, very smoothly. So as I said, I mean, a very warm welcome to everyone, and there are a lot of people on the online, which is great. The structure of this morning's talk, morning where I am, I'm based in London, is the fact that we will have a presentation that's made by Tendai and Sue on the Cambridge Trust. And at the end of that, we will have a question and answer sessions. But what will happen is, as you listen to the presentation, maybe you can type in your questions on the side where the chat lines are. Put in your questions there, and we have Claire and Nujan both looking at those, and we'll bring those up at the end of the presentation, and we will try and answer as many questions as we possibly can in the given time. We have no time restriction, so we are very keen to make sure that we try and address as many questions as we possibly can in the time that's permitted. So with that, thank you all from Cambridge Trust for your time, for agreeing to do this presentation. It is extremely useful that they can put faces to Cambridge Trust, and I think this is a great opportunity. So I'll hand over maybe to Tendai first, who will kick off, and then I think next on batting is Sue.
Thank you, Salim. Let me try and share my screen, so bear with me for a couple of seconds. All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you, Salim, again. I'm Tendai Kariwo, and I'm the Partnerships Manager here at the Cambridge Trust. And today, Sue and I are going to talk to you about how to apply to Cambridge, when to apply, and the funding opportunities that are available to you. As Salim said, at the end of the session, we'll have a Q&A. If we haven't answered your question, please feel free to let us know, and then we might be able to answer it at the end or follow up when we send the presentation and share the presentation to you. So let me start by talking about the Cambridge Trust and the University of Cambridge. So it's very difficult and quite a daunting task to describe a university with more than 800 years of history, and is the fourth oldest university in the world. But I'll try my best. So we'll start by talking about the mission of the University of Cambridge. As you can see on the screen, the mission is to contribute to society through the pursuit of education, learning, and research at the highest international levels of excellence. This statement is very relevant to students in Cambridge, and the university takes this very seriously. The university aspires to be an incubator of global knowledge and global citizens, a place which generates future leaders in all walks of life. I believe we have about 47 world leaders who are former students of Cambridge. The university and its students aspires to a view of the world that is broad, multifaceted, and interconnected. At Cambridge, learning is engaged and an engaging process. Students are taught how to think and not just what to think. Students do not just absorb knowledge, they push boundaries. This is how discoveries are made and problems are solved. This is what makes Cambridge one of the most challenging and also one of the most rewarding places to study or undertake research. The university's culture stands at the heart of the university is the culture of research and freedom of inquiry. This is what allows us to conceive solutions to global challenges. Linked with this aspiration to solve global problems is the need to collaborate with other universities and to include international students within the Cambridge community. An individual university cannot attain excellence on its own, no matter how good it is. The presence of students from across the world and different backgrounds, they offer different perspectives to research carried out in Cambridge. This is fundamental in our combined effort in extending frontiers of knowledge. The most pressing challenges we face today are global in nature, such as the coronavirus. They transcend geographic and cultural boundaries. Cambridge recognizes this and has placed international partnerships at the center of its research and teaching. This is because by working across geographic boundaries, we can solve common problems. And this is why Cambridge is keen to attract students from across the world. Those students are the bridge builders between our countries and the key to solving the world's most pressing problems. You'll see here in the presentation, Go Viral. I decided to share this because Go Viral is a new game developed between the Cambridge University and the UK government. This was developed by the Social Decision-Making Lab in Cambridge. I didn't know we had one of these, but there is one. And this is a game that players can use, they can play and actually see the techniques and motivations behind the spread of coronavirus misinformation, thereby inoculating them against its influence. I would encourage you to download this game or go to the website and just learn a bit more about this to understand how this works. I thought this is a good example to show the type of applied interdisciplinary work that is carried out in Cambridge, alongside purely academic research. Now, to talk about the University of Cambridge and the University of Central Asia, the university has a strong links with Central Asia, and these were cemented this year by the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the University of Cambridge and the University of Central Asia. The agreement between the Cambridge Trust and the University of Central Asia to co-fund students with postgraduate studies was signed in 2009. So this is way back in 2009, in the presence of His Highness the Aga Khan. Earlier this year, just before we were all locked down, a couple of events were held here in Cambridge, where I am, and at the Aga Khan Centre in London. These were to mark this new MOU between the University of Cambridge and the renewal of the Cambridge Trust's agreement with the University of Central Asia. We were honored that Her Highness Princess Zahra Aga Khan was present at both events in her capacity as the trustee of University of Central Asia and representing His Highness the Aga Khan. The university's Vice Chancellor, Professor Stephen Chup, who himself came to Cambridge, gave a keynote speech at the Aga Khan Center on the role of internationalization of higher education and its role in development. This further demonstrates the university's commitment to international students at University of Cambridge. I would like to talk to you now about what it's like to be a student at Cambridge and why you might consider studying here. The University of Cambridge has about 23,000 students. That's about a quarter of Cambridge's population. And of these students, they're about 55% at undergraduate level, 45% at postgraduate level. Of this postgraduate student community, about 65% of these are international students. This international element gives the university its unique character. In every library, lab, seminar, and dining room, you will find students, staff, senior academics from all over the world with varied backgrounds and points of view. Within the open intellectual forum of the university, they can freely share ideas and expertise and debate issues of the day. At the moment, this is all being done virtually, and there are some inventive ways that people are interacting, so the ideas flow are still going on. So let's talk about the university and its colleges. So the university is a confederation of schools, faculties, departments, and indeed the colleges. The schools are the university's academic research centers and are subdivided into faculties and departments, each focused on a separate subject. The colleges are independent organizations. They're governed by their own statutes and regulations, but they're integral to the nature of the university. The university has a unique relationship with all 31 colleges in Cambridge. The colleges are responsible for undergraduate teaching, but postgraduate study is based in a faculty or department. For the postgraduate community, the colleges perform a more pastoral role, which means providing accommodation, meals, social spaces for interaction, and other support in all aspects of life in Cambridge. Every student on a degree course becomes a member of one of these colleges, where they're able to live, and I'll mention again, eat and socialize. Every student benefits from belonging to a small and interdisciplinary community. Students and researchers from all backgrounds and all subjects come together, again, over meals to discuss ideas in an environment of academic freedom and mutual respect. The colleges are all different and they're complex institutions, but they're also very different from each other in terms of their size and history and their buildings. The largest college is nearly 1,400 students, while the smallest has 239 students. The oldest, Peterhouse, was founded in 1284, whilst the newest, Homerton, only became a full college in 2010. Two of the colleges admit only postgraduate students, whilst three more admit mature students or postgraduate students. And there's some colleges that only admit women. I would encourage you again to visit the university's website and have a look at the colleges so you can get a feel of college life and what each college is like. Now, I'm going to talk about the Cambridge Trust, our organization, and our role within Cambridge. The trust was established by the university, the trust was established by the university in the 1980s as two charities with the sole purpose of supporting students on a degree course at the University of Cambridge. It is now the largest provider of scholarships in the university, and in each academic year, there are approximately 1,300 people from many countries across the world studying at Cambridge with support from this trust. I call this our Cambridge Trust family. We work with about 90 global partners, and that is my job to look after the partners, including the University of Central Asia. Working with our partners make it possible for us to give support to students and access studies at the University of Cambridge. I'm stumbling over my words now, or the University of Cambridge, irrespective of their social and economic background. We do this by offering a variety of scholarship schemes. During our history of offering scholarships, the Trust and its partners has helped more than 19,000 students to undertake their studies at the University of Cambridge. We're not simply just a funding mechanism. We're an organization that offers support to the students that we work with. We offer support in many ways, including through events like our welcome event, which we just held last week. And then moving forward, we'll have more events. And in this virtual environment, we'll have to be inventive and creative about how we do this. So hopefully you will join us at the Cambridge Trust and you'll be able to experience these events. Now that I've given you just a short description of the university, its colleges, and the Cambridge Trust, I'll hand you over to Sue, who will be able to talk more about how to apply to study here. Over to you, Sue.
Thank you, Tendai, and I'm sure you'll have found that very informative. I'm Sue Osterfield and I manage the scholarship program. So I'm going to talk to you now a little about how to apply to study at the University of Cambridge. So in order to do that, I'm just going to stop my video a little so that I can properly read to you how you can do. I should add, however, that the university does have excellent online information about all aspects of choosing a course, applying, what to do if you're offered admission, and so on. So I will not attempt to reproduce everything here. Instead, I hope to give you a few guidelines about what is relevant to your application. So there is no need to write down all the names and addresses that you might see on screen now. Whatever route you have taken to reach your current level of education, Graduate work at Cambridge is intense and very intellectually demanding, as the university has high academic entry requirements. You will find the minimum requirements for a postgraduate applicant from each country described on the relevant web pages. So bear in mind that these are minimum guidelines and individual courses may have higher requirements. You will need to visit the specific course web pages to check. You will need to be highly proficient in all types of communication in English if you wish to be accepted at Cambridge. Different courses have different requirements, so you will need to check the precise levels on the university website by going to the relevant course and looking at the requirements. The expected levels are very high. You will need either an IELTS score of 7.5 overall, with not less than 7 in each individual element, or a TEFL score of 110 with a minimum of 25 in each element. You don't need to have this qualification before applying, but you will need to have it before any conditional offer of admission can be confirmed, and certainly before you arrive in Cambridge to start your course. The university does offer a number of pre-sessional courses where you may just meet the entry requirement and need some additional help. So don't panic. If you are made a conditional offer of admission, there will be support for you. Now, there is one single route for all postgraduate applicants to the University of Cambridge, an online applicant portal through which you upload your application form and any supporting documents that are required. Documents must be uploaded via the applicant portal and must be in PDF format. You will not be able to submit your application until you have uploaded all the required supporting documents. But before you even start to complete the postgraduate application form, you should research very thoroughly the online information about the course that you intend to study. If you are a PhD applicant, we strongly recommend that you make contact with your prospective department before making an application to find out if there is a senior academic here in the university who could be your supervisor. The university will not offer admission to a student whose thesis cannot be effectively supervised by a member of staff. You can either contact the department's general email address or phone number, or if you find that there is an academic with whom you're interested in working, please email him or her directly. We can't guarantee that you'll receive an instant reply, but at least you can be assured that they will reply to you, and they are generally pleased to hear from prospective applicants. They may want to know more about your research proposal and may suggest a telephone call or a Zoom or Teams meeting in which you can talk more in depth. Or they may suggest a different colleague in a department where they know they are working more in a project that relates to your proposed study. When you have completed the necessary preparation and you are ready to begin your online application, you should go to the course directory and find the course that you wish to apply for. Then click the Apply button. Here is a view of what the applicant portal looks like. So the applications are now open and you can register to make an account. If you wish to be considered in the postgraduate funding competition, you will need to apply by one of two course deadlines. Now they are either the 3rd of December 2020 or 7th of January 2021. So this is depending on the specific deadline for your chosen course. You should check the course directory to find out which of your courses have this December or January funding deadline. Most students arrive in Cambridge at the start of the academic year in the Michaelmas term, that is in October, and we would recommend that you do so if at all possible. However, some departments will admit you at a later date so that you could start in either the Lent or Easter term, so that is either January or April. But this is only by agreement between your department and the postgraduate admissions office. Once you have created a login and password on the applicant portal, you will be asked to complete information about you, which includes your personal details, the course you're applying for, whether you wish to be considered for funding, etc. Part of the application will ask you if you'd like to be considered by a specific college. You can specify up to 2, or you can make an open application, which means your application will be sent in a random way. We at the Cambridge Trust cannot give you advice about choosing a college, but you can read more about them online. They all provide very similar functions, and you will love whichever college offers you a place. You will need to complete the funding section of the form in particular, because this will mean that you can be considered by the Cambridge Trust and other funding bodies if you are given a conditional offer of admission. The online application fee payable is £70 sterling. You may apply for more than one course at a time. And if you are offered conditional admission, you will need then to choose which course that you wish to take up your place for. The university has in place a fee waiver for an applicant who is a citizen or has been since birth a national of a country that is in the OECD or World Bank least developed member state country. I believe this includes Afghanistan and Tajikistan. So when you go to submit your application, you may find that you have a fee waiver applied. So in summary, these are the points you should remember. Prepare your application in good time and apply by the deadline. Read all about the courses and what supporting documents you may need to provide. Make sure you possess the academic qualifications required for entry to the course, and check that your interests for your chosen course match, and you can explain why you would be a good candidate for admission to the course. Continue to work on all the things that you know they will need, like your proficiency in English. Apply via the applicant portal by the funding deadline for your chosen course. Do not leave it to the last minute, because we all know what can happen with the internet or the failure of your credit card to make the payment. So please do reply by the deadlines. So what next? If you are made a conditional offer of admission, you will receive a code so that you can access your self-service account. Login instructions will be emailed separately so that within an hour of you receiving your conditional offer of admission. This will tell you everything you need to know about the progress of your application, and is where you can check and provide additional documentation that you need to support your application. So it's important to check that self-service account regularly, as it is the primary way in which you'll be contacted by the postgraduate admissions office. Now, I thought you might be interested to see some of the deadlines for the specific courses that are eligible for the University of Central Asia Cambridge Scholarship. So just to be aware that you need to check the course directory to find out what the course deadline is for the funding competition. So I think that's probably enough detail on applications for now, as we'd like to give you the chance to ask any questions in the final session. If you think of any questions, please do add them to the chat, because we'll be able to respond to them as we progress. Now, I'd like to mention the scholarship program that we have with the University of Central Asia, which is very important to us. So each year we offer a number of scholarships for postgraduate study, whether at master's or PhD level. So these are for applicants that are normally resident in or have been born or studied in Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyz Republic, Pakistan, Tajikistan, Turkmenistan, and Uzbekistan. So these are people that require financial assistance in order to study at the University of Cambridge. It is very important that you apply by the published deadlines and have been offered conditional admission to the University of Cambridge, and that you can meet all the conditions that will be set for your admission to proceed. So that includes proficiency in English. And by submitting an application, you will also be considered by other funding bodies that the Cambridge Trust collaborates with. So we are the administrators of Harding Scholarships, which you'll find on our website. I would also suggest that you may be eligible to apply for Gates Cambridge Scholarships and any other scholarships that you will find in our funding search, which you can find on the Cambridge Trust website, the details of which are on your screen now. Now, I'd like to thank you very much, and we look forward to answering your questions.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Tendai, for a great presentation. I think we now move on to the section where we will answer your questions and answers, and I will hand over the question and answer session to Claire and Nujan to read out the questions, and then we will answer them as fully as we possibly can. Thank you. Over to you.
Hi, and well, first of all, thank you so much, dear colleagues, for such an amazing presentation. Indeed, this is a wonderful opportunity for Central Asian scholars or future scholars to pursue their graduate degrees in one of the leading universities in the world. So let's proceed to the question and answer session. Yes, I think we have some of them. The first one is Mushkan Masumi. I have no TOEFL or IELTS score. Can I apply? I'm sure we've covered this question, right? You will be needed to have a conditional offer from the University of Cambridge, and then you can submit your TOEFL or IELTS score. Another question is, I want to apply for postgraduate or master. I think
John,
it's fine, right?
Sorry for interrupting. There is some noise coming from your side. I think there is phone is turned off. That's stationary phone. Sorry for interrupting. Now it's.
I don't have stationary phone. I think this is the problem with my headphones.
Okay, try to. You can speak now.
How's it now?
Yeah, not very clearly. Okay. Claire, do you want to take up the questions and pass them on to Sue or Tendai, any one of those?
Yes, shall I do that? And forgive me for pronunciation of names. Galmajan Tashibayev, are there any circumstances where I don't need to include IELTS with my application? Sue, there aren't, are there? I think all courses have an IELTS requirement.
You're muted.
Sue, you're muted, that's it.
Yes, you may apply without any English test, but you will need to produce your results in due course in order for the university to know of your standard. So if you are not a native English speaker, they will put that language condition onto your conditional admission, and you will have then the time to prepare, take a test and provide the results. But you will need to do so before you come into residence.
Джан, что-то у него, что за там проблема с наушниками?
there's another, is there any age limit to the master's program? That's an interesting question from Najmi. I don't believe there are any age limit.
No, the Cambridge Trust does not impose any age restriction for students coming to study at the University of Cambridge. So as far as I'm aware, there's absolutely no age restriction.
Hi, everybody. Mavzuna Kanova. Should the results of language proficiency need to be enclosed while submitting the application, or can they be sent upon going through TEFL and or IELTS exam and getting the results later? Sue, sorry, you again.
Yeah, it's very helpful if you have already taken a test to send those in at the same time, because it gives the department an idea of the standard of your English. But it's not absolutely necessary. You can upload it later, so subsequently, to provide evidence that you can have the proficiency in English.
An anonymous attendee, will this recording be available? Najan, I'll let you answer that. I think the answer to that is yes.
Yes, the answer is yes. This recording will be available when we will send the link to all attendees.
It's going to be available via YouTube channel, Nurjan, sorry. Okay.
Thank you.
I think I heard a question from somebody that was wanting to inquire about postgraduate study for master's courses. My advice in that instance would be that you prepare your personal statement. It's not necessary for a research proposal for master's study, but if you can demonstrate your ability to meet the course requirements and that you are a good match for the study at Cambridge, that should help your application.
Thank you. There's also one question, I think, related to us. Salim, thank you for presentation. I would like to study PhD major in psychology. Can I get a chance to get funding from UCA?
Unfortunately, every year we look at what subjects we offer as far as the scholarships are concerned, and we have an agreement. We agree with these with Cambridge Trust as well. Psychology, unfortunately, is not one of those subject areas that we can apply through the University of Central Asia. However, there is no reason at all as to why you cannot apply directly to Cambridge Trust, who will consider you for the same sort of scholarship as possible. Sue, am I correct on that?
Absolutely. The Cambridge Trust has a program of scholarships called the Cambridge International Scholarships. So that's up to 80 full cost scholarships every year for PhD study in any subject. So any international student would be eligible to apply.
Great. Also, one more question. Can I apply if I am in my senior year at the university?
Sure. Sue, do you want to take it, or Tendai, anyone? I can take it
I think if you will be graduating in the following year, then you will be eligible to apply. But obviously it will remain conditional on your achieving a certain standard in your studies to be admitted to Cambridge.
Absolutely. And I think UCA takes the same position as well. As long as you're graduating the following year, we will make you a conditional provision that, yes, we will consider you for a scholarship. So it's the same on both sides.
Okay. Another question from anonymous attendee is, can I enter the Cambridge if my GPA doesn't match to requirements?
The university is quite flexible, provided you can get the conditional offer of admission and they are aware of your GPA. They will be the ones that decide whether to admit you. So it's really a university decision.
Thank you. Question from Sabuhi Essa. How does UCA helps in finding a supervisor at the chosen department? Salim, can you please ask?
Okay, sure. I think, as Sue mentioned, you really need to spend a lot of time in searching and researching the website. UCA does not actually provide that sort of service, but I mean, we can guide you along and show you, but I think it's down to you to look up each of the supervisors. And as Sue mentioned in her talk, write to them. You might not get an instant reply, but our experience has always been they do reply to you, and you pick up the same conversation. And having a named supervisor on your application is extremely advantageous to your application. So please do that. Anything else you want to add, Sue?
No, I think that's absolutely correct. It's about the relationship that you form with the supervisor, which has to be quite close. So your objectives, need to be closely aligned. You need to have a good idea that you can put forward as to the reason why the supervisor will work with you. So just to be as prepared as possible to get your material together in your research proposal, come across quite quickly. They don't have a lot of time, so they want to know if it interests them. So that's my advice, is to sort of make it quite a neat proposal and get it all across quite, fluently, so that they can understand what it is you want to study.
And I think that's a very important area, Sue, you mentioned, where you come across very quickly and very clearly, because we on average receive 300-400 applications, and we want to know very quickly. There are a lot of people that look at these applications, but if something jumps up at you and your clarity is there, I think there's a greater chance of your application being shortlisted. So I think, again, from the UCA point of view, when I and Nurjan and others look at these applications, we want something to jump at us. We want clarity. We want evidence that you've looked at the website. We want evidence that you've thought of a supervisor. These are all the kind of things that are our indicators of success almost.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Thank you. Sue or Tendai, can you please clarify more on GRE requirements?
GRE is often asked about, but I don't think many courses actually make it a requirement. Now, I think economics and management studies are probably the two departments that do use that test. But really, to read about the course you're intending to study, see if you need the GRE, and then be prepared to take it, because you may need to provide the evidence with your application. I really am not sure. I don't know the requirements for every course, but you will find that information on the course directory website.
Okay, thank you. Salim, are other PhD programs, either geography or sciences, covered under this scholarship?
That's a very good question. I mean, what you find is that although we've listed the key areas and the key subjects that we're interested, and by the way, we come across these 6 areas only because these are the majors that we currently offer at UCA. So we need a pipeline of our future faculty, which is why these are the areas of interest to us, so that in 4 years, 5 years' time, they can come back and actually teach those areas that we're currently teaching. Now, within those areas, we've purposely kept it broad. So, you mentioned geography and earth science. All of those are between earth and environmental science, for example. So definitely, if you're not sure within the umbrella sort of description of earth science, come and talk to us and say, well, does human geography come into it? The answer would be yes, it does, because it's related to it. We teach human geography and lots of other geology, all of those kind of things, climate change, within earth and environmental science. So that is just an umbrella description for all of you to apply. So there's lots of interdisciplinary, subjects at work. So even within business administration, there might be finance, there might be innovations, there may be strategy. So all of those come in within the business aspects of the scholarship that we are looking for as well. So yes, if you're unsure, write to the international office, to Nurjan, to myself, and we will guide you as to whether that qualifies or doesn't qualify.
Thank you. The question from IPD Jumashalieva. Hello, everyone. Is there an additional application for Cambridge Trust Scholarship to submit on the portal? Can students not from UCA apply? My grades have not been really great, 3.4 GPA, so I was wondering if Cambridge looks at employment of a student, means internships.
Can I jump in, Sue, just before? The UCA scholarships are not, and I repeat, not only open to those people that are studying at UCA or have had any relationship with UCA. UCA scholarships with Cambridge Trust are open to anyone in Central Asia. The only requirement is that you're a Central Asian in the sort of countries that we've identified. Makes no difference whether you're with us or have been with us or not been with us. So it's open to everyone. Sorry, Sue, after you.
I think you posed many questions there in the one framed question. So the application form is a one application combined in the applicant portal. So it consists of the information that the university will need to consider you for admission, and also the funding application too, where you will be asked to tick the box that you wish to apply for funding. The Cambridge Trust has a personal statement there where if you mention you want to be an applicant for UCA-Cambridge scholarships, we will notice, and then we will maybe include you on the short list of applicants that we consider. You can also mention there any other awards for which you want to be considered. So not only UCA, but the other awards that I've mentioned too. And that will be progressed the minute you are offered conditional admission. It will then come across to the Cambridge Trust and you will be an applicant in the funding competition. So not to worry about that. Now, there was a second part to the question there, I believe. Do remind me, Nurjan.
The second question was, can students not from UCA apply, which Salim has answered.
Salim has answered.
Yes, and the third part was, my grades have not been really great, 3.4 GPA. So I was wondering if Cambridge looks at employment of a student.
Yes, I would say that if you have had other experience in employment, that will add to your ability to pursue the course, then please do check the website under the particular course you want to come and study, and make that personal statement match so that your qualities then match with what the university and the course is looking for. So in that way, you can make yourself a stronger candidate. So although it might say a preferred GPA, perhaps you can persuade them that because you have other experience that you are a good candidate.
Okay, thank you. Next question from Akbilmet Anarbaeva related to Earth and Environmental Sciences. We already answered. Okay, so we can proceed to the next very important question from Natalia Zakharchenko. Thank you so much for the presentation. How is the process of education affected by the COVID-19 pandemic in terms of online, offline learning, dates of studies?
What we found at Cambridge is that there is presently a combination, so a blended program. So there are some courses that are being taught online. There are small group, person-to-person contact groups for study. So we have found that many students are in Cambridge and they are benefiting from the Cambridge experience. So they have made their way to Cambridge and they are being looked after in the colleges. Cambridge has that collegiate system where they are housed and looked after, and some of them have had to do periods of quarantine or go into isolation, but they are very prepared. So the university has a whole system of testing just to make sure that everybody is safe. So we are quite well prepared, even to go on to online teaching.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And that we have some useful information. There's a whole page for how the university is tackling the COVID situation and just learning the unexpected experiences. So learnings about what's been happening. So that is to reassure you as well about how the university is delivering its learning and the living environment.
Thank you. Question from Sanya. According to the program MPhil plus PhD Strategic Management, in order to continue to the PhD program, students must achieve 70% or more overall and at least 70% on the dissertation component. Does Cambridge eases this requirement for a scholarship holder?
Each individual course will have its own requirements. So it's reading about the course. So sometimes students that may apply for a PhD are in fact then offered a master's place. Now, some departments might feel that they need to get extra experience. So they will assess the application for the level of entry. And if they feel that they can offer a place not quite at PhD level, but prefer the master's first, there is always that option. So, you know, they will consider the whole application and whether they can offer admission. So I would suggest that that is quite possible to go from a master's then to the PhD. And I believe the UCA scholarship also could be renewed for a further tenure. So you could hold a 1-year award and then be admitted to the PhD, and it would continue for a further 3 years.
Thank you. Next question often comes to us. Question from Aliyah. What if my postgraduate degree was taken in an English-speaking country? Do I still need to provide the IELTS? Maybe there are some universities that you allow.
Sometimes the university will take that into consideration if the student has studied in English at another university. They might ask for evidence, but they are quite fussy at Cambridge about meeting the requirements, so don't take it for granted. You may need to take a test anyway.
Okay, thank you. Question from Chopon. Hello, thank you so much for such a great presentation. My question is, does UCA-Cambridge Trust Scholarship consider applicants for majors other than the listed ones by UCA?
Yes, the Cambridge Trust will consider applicants in all subjects. So we have a variety of other awards that you may find yourself eligible for. Do the scholarship search on our website, put in your country, and then you will see the whole list of awards that you might be eligible for.
Salim, do you have any comments?
No, I think that's absolutely spot on.
Okay. Next question from Azamat Hasimov. Is it possible to apply next year or year after that?
It depends when you want to take up your place. So normally you have to apply about a year in advance. So the application window opens on 1 September. And normally the course deadline is the time that you will be given. But bear in mind, the funding competition has earlier deadlines. So if you want to be considered for the funding for the scholarships, you'd have to apply by 3rd of December or the 7th of January, but that is for admission in 2021. Mm-hmm. If your admission is intended for 2022, then just push the dates forward to the following year and then check. But remember to check the dates because they may vary.
Yes, thank you. Question from Ilyas Suvanov. Hello, dear ma'am. Is it possible to complete PhD online?
I think you would have to have some contact with your supervisor. I don't think it would be possible to do it 100% online. The university does agree to leave to work away periods when you can spend time back in your own country, collecting your material, doing your research, looking at archives. So it is very flexible, but there is a certain terms that you have to be resident in Cambridge. So it's not entirely online.
Okay, thank you. Question from Mashukuddin Abid. Hello, nice to meet you all and thank you for organizing this program. Do we have to apply separately for the university as I have applied for Central Asia and included all of my documents?
Yes, I understand that you have to apply to University of Central Asia by, is it 1 November, Salim?
Yes, our deadline is the 1st of November, Sue. And the reason we have this two-step process is also to try and filter the candidates that we would be interested. Because remember, not only are we giving you a scholarship, but we're also giving you a job at the end of it as well. So we want to make sure that the job and us, there is a good fit. And it's very, very difficult in such a large sort of section where the subject areas are so broad, like business and management or earth and environmental science, economics. You know, there are aspects of economics where we do not have a focus on in the coming years, basically. So it's really for you to see whether there is a fit with us. And if there isn't, there is always a safety net, or you can go directly to Cambridge Trust, and we tell that to everyone.
Yeah.
Please apply. Just because we say no, we are looking at our pipeline, essentially, what will happen 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now. So if you are interested in UCA and working with us in the future and having a job when you finish, that is the reason we have this two-step process. And once we shortlist you, we will then encourage you to apply to the University of Cambridge, and you will follow exactly the same process through the portal as anybody else as well. That's why we have two deadlines, 1st of November for UCA, then the 3rd of December or the 7th of January for the portal at Cambridge.
Okay. There is a nice question from anonymous attendee. Thank you. Who is a perfect candidate for Cambridge Trust?
Good question.
We consider everybody. We don't have any favorites, but we are completely separate from the admissions. So the academic qualifications that you have to satisfy the university is completely separate from the funding competition. And so we look at all the applications. We have a big competition. We try and match students with the funding partner that can enable them to have the scholarship to come and study at Cambridge. So it's like a big jigsaw puzzle. This year, or every year, I should say, we normally offer around 600 scholarships. Now, not all of them get taken up because some students do decide to go elsewhere or not to study. So generally, we end up with between 400 and 500 students that join us.
Mm-hmm.
And with our continuing students, we end up with about 1,300 students on our books at any one time. So those are the ones that we're paying scholarships for. Now, the scholarships vary in value as well. So they may cover your fees. They may cover your fees and maintenance. They may cover additional allowances. But we try and do our best to make as complete a package for the students as possible to enable them to study. So we carry out all of that process independently. We're an independent trust. We match and we work with funding partners to, and our objective is to enable students to benefit from study at the University of Cambridge.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Salim, I think next question is for you. Question regarding 3 years of work at UCA after completion of the course. When you were accepted, what are the conditions?
Well, there are no conditions other than the fact that, given the fact that we've given you a joint scholarship, we expect you to come back and teach at the university, but it's for a one-to-one year sort of ratio. So if you spent 3 years at Cambridge, you come back and work with us for 3 years. The key idea here is to come back to the country because UCA is very, very keen on promoting social development, economic development, educational development, and that is our role. I mean, we are not going to tie you down for 5, 6, 7, 10 years or ask you to give up your, lease of your house or whatever while we give you scholarships, as is common in the area. We don't ask for any of those things. In fact, we do the opposite. We give you a job which is paid at the same rate as anybody else. So we don't even take away any money from you, basically, in terms of that. It's purely that you come back and give back. That is the element in which we do. After the 2 years, if that's how many years you've been abroad, or 3 years, you feel you want to go and progress somewhere else, then you're very welcome to. But there is a caution in that, because we also, in addition to having you finished your PhD or your master's, if you finished your master's, there are opportunities for you to then, in 3 years, do your PhD. If you've done a PhD, in 3-4 years, you can go and do postdocs. And we've had a few postdocs at Cambridge and in Oxford and in Harvard. So those are the kind of things that we support throughout. And it's a lifetime of your profession in academia. So come back, yes, you like it, you stay, you don't like it, you move on, but at least you'll move on into the Central Asian countries at least, which is just as good for us.
Okay. Question from Akbermet. Will this field of studying be in the undergraduate program? I'm not sure what field Akbermet meant.
No, not.
Yeah, let's proceed to the next question. Jursun Alambaeva. Is it possible to apply Faculty of Environment or Agriculture for PhD?
I think you'll find they are located in other departments. We don't actually have a Faculty of Agriculture. So you would need to read across relevant courses. They may be in different named departments. Like, you know, we have geography. We don't have anything specifically called environmental, but we have conservation leadership, which might be a master's program for which you would consider applying. That comes under the Department of Geography. So just read around many of the different courses which might suit your objectives.
Okay. Question from Mayram Sariva. I see from requirements that UK high honors degree is needed. I graduated French master diploma and my diploma is less than required honors degree. It's 12, 16. May I apply?
I would suggest that you look very carefully at the entry qualifications, because we wouldn't want you to waste your application fee in applying if you were not actually qualified to do the course. So if you have any questions, the department should be prepared to answer you about the level of your qualifications.
Okay. Question from Ahmad Fahim Najwa. If the TOEFL score is expired and we cannot attempt again due to the COVID-19 pandemic, will the expired score be acceptable?
They will take into account your present score, but if it is out of date, they may well require you to take a new test, and let us hope that the centres will be open for you to take a new test.
Okay. Salim, how flexible is the CAFDP in terms of fields of study? Can I pursue a PhD in development economics? Thanks.
Both of those areas are areas that we work in at UCA. So the short answer, without knowing the exact nature of the research, would be yes.
Okay. For PhD scholarships, shall the supervisor's confirmation be submitted with the application, or it could be done at a later stage?
When you apply, you will either, if you know the name of the supervisor that you would like to work with, you can mention it on the application form. Now that's regardless of whether you've made contact prior or whether you get considered later, but it just gives the department an idea of who you want to work with. So they will either direct it to that person or to one that is very closely related and working in an area that you express an interest. So it's an ongoing process to be working with a supervisor. Sometimes it's better to have made contact beforehand, but you don't actually need to have any indication from that supervisor to apply to work with them. It's for the department to decide how best you match with a particular supervisor's area of expertise.
Okay. A question from Sabuhi Essa. Also, I am interested in taking the course offered at EPSRC Center for Doctoral Training in Future Infrastructure and Built Environment, Resilience in a Changing World. The question is, does UCA and Cambridge Trust covers the expenses for the 1 year industry, which is part of the course?
The course you mentioned is a Master of Research followed by PhD. So it is a 1+3 course. So generally the student comes along, they take the 1 year MRes, Master of Research, and provided they do very well in that, they automatically progress to the PhD. Now for the PhD, they may express a preference to work in a particular area of study. So the Master of Research gives them time to develop their plan, what their research is going to be, and then they specialize in the PhD elements. And these are becoming quite popular programs now. So there is a 1+3 program for EPSRC, as you say, doctoral training programs. Mm-hmm. And so there are quite a number that could be looked at and be eligible.
Mm-hmm. A question from Ilyas Suvanov. Is it possible to complete PhD in computer science online without need to travel to UK?
I very much doubt that. I think to fulfill the terms of research and residence, and the residence is required in Cambridge, that you would actually need to be resident here for probably 6 of the 9 terms that you would be required to pay for fees. Generally speaking, leave to work away may be for a period of study, normally of 3 terms or 1 year. But of course, in these times, things have changed slightly, so it may be that a longer period of leave to work away may be applied for, especially with regard to restrictions about travel and the COVID. So it's worth checking, but that would be my understanding of the official length of a PhD and the requirements for residence at Cambridge.
Okay. Next question is, what are the requirements on GPA, and if it's less than required, can we still apply?
Yes, of course. There's nothing to prevent you from applying. We just want you to be successful.
Okay. When we should start our application? I think you should already start it, right?
Yes, you may start your application and save it so that you can work on it later. You gather all the material you've been asked for, follow very carefully the instructions. So your supporting documentation, whatever they ask for, whether you need a CV, your research proposal, personal statement, as well as your supporting academic qualifications and your references. So make sure that your referees are aware that you're giving their name, and that they will be required to submit a reference on your behalf.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Can I please hand over to Claire? Claire, can you please help me with questions?
Yes, of course. Sorry, I just unmute myself. Yes, of course. So I'll take the first one. I see, just to confirm, emailing documentation to UCA by October the 31st is still a requirement, and it's different from the Cambridge application portal. Yes, that's right. I think we may have covered some of these things since these questions have been asked, but yes, that's right, isn't it, Salim? 1st November.
Yes, Claire.
And then the Cambridge application, depending on the course. And I know Sue said it several times, but it really is important that you check the requirements of your particular course. And they're all very different. And I think there's something over 300 courses available at Cambridge. So it's kind of impossible to know every requirement for every course. Is it mandatory to submit the PhD proposal right now in case we are applying to UCA-Cambridge Trust scholarships?
I can take that. So the answer, short answer would be yes. We would like to see your ability to write a proposal. We would like to see your ability to fit in with the kind of research that's happening within us, and your ability when you finish to come back and teach with us. And if that is yes, then we'll be delighted to move your application to the next stage. As we said, it's a 2-step process. Otherwise, for sure, we will recommend that you apply directly to Cambridge Trust.
Thank you, Salim. Could you please say how many scholarships are available through the Cambridge Trust? Well, we award each year around, I think, 500 a year. And we are supporting around 1,400 in residence every year. To give you kind of some idea of scale, Sue mentioned we have many different scholarships, including with the University of Central Asia. I think last year we awarded 179 different types of scholarships. So that represents really our work with partners. So there are, although the competition is stiff, and lots of applications, there is help on offer. There are many different streams of funding. So don't be put off by applying. We appreciate that Cambridge can seem a very daunting place to apply to, with requirements that you need to fulfill, but it's possible to do it. You know, there is funding available. There is help for you. So don't be put off in applying. Just make sure you're aware when you apply what the requirements are, so that your expectations can be met. Are these scholarships fully funded? I'm not sure if you mean this particular scholarship or all scholarships. Celine, maybe you could answer about the UCA one in particular.
Absolutely. Our scholarships are fully funded. I mean, we are co-funding with Cambridge Trust, and any incidentals and anything up front with regards to your travel, with regards to one-off costs to going to Cambridge, this is something that UCA will always pick up, because that is always the issue in all of the scholarships. You don't necessarily get the soft funding initially that you need when you're traveling to a country, but this is something we will guarantee and will take on board, including flights, visas, and so forth.
Thank you. And another one, I'm afraid, for you, Salim. If I complete a master's degree, for how long do I have to work at UCA upon graduation?
Sure, that's a good one. Depends whether the master is a year, 2 years, or whatever. In some cases, rare cases, at least in the UK, it's only 1 year generally. For masters, you will have to work for UCA for 2 years.
Thank you. For a PhD student, is a family member allowed to join?
These are for single scholars, unfortunately. We do offer family scholarships, but not on this one. It's generally, there are lots of complications related, not just to the funding, but for the visa sections. And I'm sure Tendai or Sue can elaborate more on that. Or even correct me if I'm wrong.
Students that come for a PhD probably could bring a partner in due course,
Yes.
But obviously the cost would need to be assured to the university that sufficient resources are in place to support that accompanying adult or children. Obviously, if you do intend to bring them, then you have to think of other aspects of, if it's children, then it's childcare, which is very expensive in the UK. So these are reasons why the Cambridge Trust does not support dependents. As I think Salim is also saying, UCA does not support dependents. Yeah. It is for the student themselves to undertake the study. So we want you to concentrate on that. But it is possible if you should need to bring a dependent with you.
A question to Salim. I would like to apply for a PhD with the topic in economic geography. Is this in line with the priority areas within the scholarship?
Short answer, absolutely spot on. Yeah, please do.
Where can we find, so this is from Zuleika, sorry I haven't said who's asking the questions. Where can we find answers for all of our questions about this scholarship and Masters and PhD programs when they arise? I think the short answer is on the respective website. So for the university, for the course requirements, etc. On our website, we have extensive information about both this scholarship and all the other scholarships that you can apply for. As Sue said, there's a search where you put in your nationality and it will give you a list of the scholarships for which you may be eligible. So I think all the websites are your first port of call, and that's where most of the extensive information is. If you, after you've looked at those websites, there's something that you can't find, by all means contact the Trust. If it's about Trust scholarships, or I'm speaking on behalf of Salim or the UCA for that scholarship, and we'll do our best to answer those for you. Oh, well, that's nice. It's not a question, but I'll read it because it's nice. Thank you very much for the information. You're most welcome. It's an amazing opportunity, and they'll definitely try not to miss. That's great to hear. And I hope to see you all in person next academic year in Cambridge. Well, we hope so too. And we wish you all well with your applications, and do encourage you to put them in. And as Tendai mentioned in her presentation, we are still welcoming students to Cambridge. We may have had to do that through a different medium. We did it virtually last week. We had nearly 300 students on a screen, which was a challenge with a very lively Q&A, but it was wonderful, and we can still welcome students to Cambridge. Oh, there's a question about family. I think we've covered family. Go Higher, is the scholarship only for the majors which UCA is offering? can a maths or physics major apply for the scholarship?
If the maths and physics scholarship is related to engineering, for example, which is one of the key areas, or through earth and environmental science, then absolutely. If you can show the linkages between those headings that we provided, for sure. We are a liberal arts college as well, remember, so we do need the mathematicians, we do need this other sort of people as well, but we want them to also teach a major in addition to just teaching a pure science or a pure liberal arts course.
Salim, I'm sorry, another one for you. Are the jobs provided upon the completion will be mainly at the UCA campus, or will it be also possible to work on some other projects implemented by the Aga Khan Development Network?
Absolutely. We are a part of the Aga Khan Development Network, UCA is, and we would be delighted to have you work for the AKDN on your completion. So it just depends on what is the best bet. And usually we will make that decision even at the onset before confirming your degree. For example, our student last year, Adil Shah, who is in engineering, although we are teaching engineering, or will be in Kazakhstan soon, he's actually contracted to work with one of the AKDN agencies, AKDN standing for the Aga Khan Development Network agencies in Pakistan, under the power, agencies as well. So he will be working for Pamir Energy on completion, but he will also have the opportunity of doing his research with the universities. So there is a lot of possibilities. It could be split, it could be completely, it could be, all of those things are possible. So the short answer is yes, within the AKDN or UCA. And it says that in our publications.
Thank you, Salim. Ulzan Rojic, I understand that history is not included in the UCA-Cambridge Trust Scholarship. I wonder if there is an opportunity to study a joint program and a PR media, for example, combined with a history of Central Asia or Eurasia on PhD level via the Aga Khan Humanities Project.
That is a very good program. And can I just make a very general statement? I mean, I get asked a lot of questions. This is not one of your priority areas. I am not really interested in your priority areas, but I should apply because a scholarship is available. Please don't do that. My advice, and it's only my advice, off the record as an individual, not as part of UCA, is to stick with what your passion is, okay? Just because UCA doesn't offer it, Cambridge Trust does. So please trust in your instincts, in your passion, and apply separately, and follow that dream of yours, essentially, okay? But in history is not one of our current focus areas at the moment. But finish your history, come back to us and teach history at UCA. Especially if it's Central Asian.
Suleika asks, he or she, I am a chemistry teacher. What kind of master's programs would you recommend for me so I can work in UCA after graduating?
Oh my God, chemistry is such a wide subject. I mean, I used to be a chemist once upon a time, so it's such an open subject. If you want to discuss this with me, please drop me a line at the University of Central Asia, and I'll be happy to focus in with you. But yeah, please drop me a line. It's extremely wide.
Bear with me. How many full scholarships does Trust provide every year? I think I've just answered that to somebody else. We award around 500 each year. And of course, we have a larger student body in residence because many of those are taking PhDs and they are with us for 3 years, but around 500 each year. I think it's 491 this year, wasn't it, Sue?
Yes,
around
yes.
the 500 mark.
I should just mention that some of the scholarships are full cost, like the Cambridge International that I mentioned. So there were 80 of those. If you win a Harding scholarship, we are administering those. I think there's about 25 each year. We work with Pakistan HEC. If any of you were eligible for that scheme, there, I believe we have 15 of those each year available. They're not always all filled, so you can see that there are spaces, and you are very welcome to apply for them. Remember to apply to the separate funding partner if it's their wish that you apply to them also. And I know that is the case for Pakistan HEC.
I think it's the case with UCA as well, in that
Yes.
we have, more scholarships than we have admissions. So
Yeah.
this just brings me to the fact that please spend a lot of time on your application forms. We're always short of admissions. We have scholarships, but we never, even there are low numbers, but even those low numbers we cannot fill. So please spend time on your application and come back. We really want you to get those admissions as much as possible. And that can only happen depending on the strength of your application, because that's only the only thing that separates you from admission, your application.
Sakina says, hello everyone, thank you for the presentations. Oh, my question is about age limitation. There are no age limitations.
No.
One is never too old for education.
No. That looks pretty much it.
Yep, I think I've taken that one. In case the application is successful, when the classes will start, is there an opportunity to start PhD in January? Yes, not for this January. So if you're applying this academic year, it would be the following January, because you're applying this year for admission in 2021 academic year. So yes, you can start. We do have a proportion of students that will start in Lent term each year. So I think that's right. But it would also obviously be something to discuss with your supervisor, because you would need to be starting at a time which fitted with them.
Yeah, I've just seen one question about the families. The specific question is the challenge of bringing up a family here in Cambridge and enrolling children in public school. I'll say, as a person who lives in Cambridge and has lived here for a while, Cambridge is a very family-friendly city, very family-friendly, very good schools. And I would encourage you to go onto the university's website. There is information about the schooling, family life, and links into local schools and also, child minding. So there is a lot of information on the website, but to assure you, Cambridge is a very family-friendly city.
Ilyas Suvanov asked, does the scholarship cover transportation fee to the UK?
Yes, I think I answered that, and that is something that UCA will 100% pick up in terms of transportation, visas, and other initial accommodation expenses, for sure.
When will the shortlisted candidates going to be contacted by UCA about the scholarship? Will it be in November?
Yes, so to give you the maximum amount of time, our deadline is on the 1st of November. We will get back to you within 7 days. So by the 8th, we will tell you whether we want you to proceed with the second part of the application or whether you apply directly to the University of Cambridge. I think I saw one question about machine learning somewhere, which is very, very useful, but here we are. What if I could apply for an MPhil in machine learning and machine intelligence? Absolutely, please do. Okay.
Yes.
It's a key area for us, and I know the international office, Najan, has replied to it. So yes, very much. It can be an MPhil PhD as it could be a master's PhD. And we would cover the costs. I mean, we've done it in the past. We both would cover both costs for the MPhil and then continuing for the MPhil. Although there are two separate applications, one has to think about that.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for the presentation. I was wondering whether applicants are considered for multiple scholarships with a single application, or it has to be a separate application for each scholarship, e.g. UCA or Gates scholarships. Sue, do you want to?
Yes, right. Now you need a separate UCA application because that is the funding partner that is requiring you to apply, and they will then shortlist and invite you to make an application for admission to the university. The application to the university that you fill in via the applicant portal and tick the box that you wish to be considered for funding will be considered by the Cambridge Trust, by Gates Cambridge, if you actually tick their box and provide their statements. So there's a separate part of the funding, the combined form that you fill in for Gates. The Cambridge Trust will consider you for all the awards that we administer or for which you are eligible. So it's only the separate funding partner applications that you wish to apply for that you need to make a separate application.
I would add, Sue, that it's good practice to sort of search through what you might be eligible for, make a note of it, and then go on each of the scholarships and check what you specifically need, because you might not need to replicate a lot of things. So you might be able to use your personal statements and tailor them a little bit. So just research thoroughly and see what you need to provide for each of the partners.
Can I jump in? There's another question with regards to whether Afghan Acadian agencies are eligible to apply for. Absolutely, anyone can apply within the Acadian, outside of the Acadian. We do not worry where you come from.
Yes, we're worldwide, so.
Yeah, absolutely. I think.
How many applicants are you planning to admit to computer science?
Oh.
I'm not sure that's something we could answer. Because we play no part in admission to Cambridge. So
there are no quotas.
No.
So provided you have the qualifications and the course has the number of places available, then if you match, then you will be made a conditional offer of admission. So it's unknown in any given year how many opportunities there are, but there are quite a number, and I do know that there are shortages in some areas of applicants for computer science, particularly from women candidates.
Absolutely, absolutely. And can I also clarify that, as Sue mentioned, we play no part and no role in the admissions process. That includes UCA as well. So we are not even able to talk to anyone with regards to your application. We are just a post box. You send it to us, we like you, we post it on, okay? So absolutely, we cannot do anything as far as your admission is your application, and that's where it stops. So let me clarify that.
Now, Tudor asks, good morning, everyone. I'd like to know if master's degree with PhD pathway required needs a short research proposal. Sorry if I missed it, if it was covered already. Also, I have my IELTS in general, not an academic. Will it be accepted? And I also have Duolingo. Is that acceptable?
Yeah.
No.
No.
I think the IELTS is the requirement for us.
Yeah. Got down to the bottom there. We're coming up.
Sorry, I'm just over a couple that we've already had.
Yeah. That looks pretty much it.
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. Okay, can I conclude maybe? We've been running an hour and a half almost. We have 5 more minutes. Thank you, everyone. First to my colleagues at Cambridge Trust, to Nurjan, to Ullenbeck from the IT department. Greatly appreciate your time. Thank you, Cambridge Trust, for being such wonderful partners. You are absolutely incredible. Thank you for that. Thank you for the incredible questions and such good questions as well. We are here. We want you to apply. We want you to be successful. So please help us with that mission as well. We want you to get to Cambridge. Okay, that is our only mission in doing all this. I'm sorry we've not been able to do a roadshow this year because of COVID and go into each of the countries, but inshallah next year we will do that. So good luck. Remember the deadlines, and remember that is the last day of the deadline. Doesn't stop you from sending in your applications before, because trust me, the panics that we've seen with Wi-Fi and credit cards not working, and there is no appeal after that. You lose that time, you snooze and you lose. I hate to say that cheesy remark, but that's where we are. That really applies in this case, okay?